Could superstar wide receiver DK Metcalf actually be traded to the Kansas City Chiefs? Let's talk about it, Chiefs Kingdom. You guys are listening to the KC Sports Report. My name is Michael Darcy. Hit that like button on this video and subscribe to this channel for more of the best daily Chiefs content on YouTube. Now, I first wanted to show this report coming from a reporter on Twitter. He put out a tweet saying that the two teams that I've been told are monitoring DK Metcalf's situation are the Bills and Chiefs. Right now, consensus is Seahawks aren't looking to make a deal and still would like to extend star receiver DK Metcalf, but there are several teams that are keeping tabs in case door opens to acquire him. So according to Corbin K. Smith, who used to cover the Seattle Seahawks for Sports Illustrated, said that the Bills and the Chiefs are two teams that are monitoring the DK Metcalf situation closely, which I find to be very interesting because DK Metcalf is someone that is highly regarded as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And I couldn't really see a situation where Seattle doesn't end up giving him an extension, but he's already getting paid a lot of money this next season. And I wanted to show this, article coming from Arrowhead Addict. I think it just further goes to show you, more behind the rationale of the Chiefs potentially trading for, DK Metcalf. This is coming from Matt Connor of Arrowhead Addict. He said what makes this more interesting at this stage for the Chiefs is that Casey has been, quote, in the mix for DK Metcalf before. So back in 2022, when the Chiefs ended up trading Tyreek Hill, they were calling on teams to check in on different wide receivers. And I remember they called the Seahawks about Tyler Lockett, about DK Metcalf, and they ended up not getting a deal done. They ended up not moving on from either one of those players. But it is interesting that the Seahawks and the Chiefs had discussions about wide receivers and specifically about wide receivers being traded. And if we just go down here, DK Metcalf's only 27 years old and his track history in the NFL is insane. Now, I will say that last year he did have a little bit of a dip in production. He only had 66 catches for 992 receiving yards and he had 5 touchdowns. But I do think that he could explode in a different offense. But here is where it gets difficult. Here's where it gets interesting. He is going to have a $32 million cap hit this season. So if the Chiefs were wanting to trade for a DK Metcalf, they would probably have to give him a long-term extension to even make that money work under the salary cap. Now, the salary cap is going to go up almost every year for the next, 10 to 15 years, but the Chiefs cannot bank on the salary cap going up, by X amount of dollars next year to make this possible. Now, I do think that it's very interesting because we've seen the Chiefs before say, you know what, Tyreek Hill, we don't want to pay you. We're going to ship you off to Miami and get draft capital and build our way back up. And so I don't think that DK Metcalf is going to get traded to the Chiefs. I don't think there's any legitimacy to this rumor. But it is interesting to see that someone who formerly covered the Seahawks for Sports Illustrated is saying that two of the best teams in the AFC are monitoring the wide receiver of the Seahawks very closely. Now, again, I think that both the Bills and the Chiefs have other needs, and so it wouldn't make sense to, trade the draft capital and find the cap space to extend DK Metcalf. But it is very interesting that during this little off period in the offseason, right before free agency, right before the NFL draft, we get this rumbling that the Bills and the Chiefs are keeping an eye on DK Metcalf. But I don't think that either team is probably going to end up landing him because, listen, the Seahawks aren't a great football team, but DK Metcalf's essentially all they have. Now, they've got some good receivers, some young and up-and-coming receivers, but you don't really trade a player like DK Metcalf unless you just don't want to pay him or he just doesn't want to be there. And from everything that I've seen, there's no report coming out that he doesn't want to be there. And I'm pretty sure the Seahawks aren't against paying him because that cap hit's going to be like $27 million. So I don't think that this rumor is going to end up, meaning anything in the long term. But I do want to kind of talk about what DK Metcalf would provide for this Chiefs offense, and I will do that right after this ad break. This video is sponsored by my friends over at Mosey. Mosey is a wearable and weatherproof thermal wrap which is guaranteed to keep you warmer than a normal stadium blanket. If you're going to any outside tailgates or parties or any event, you gotta stay warm. And the best way to do that is by getting yourself a Mosey. And right now, if you click the link in my description, you will get 30% off your entire order by using code KCSR at checkout. And fellas, if you want to get your girlfriend or wife the best present ever, go get her a Mosey. It keeps her warm. You'll be able to do more activities outside. And I cannot tell you how many times that Mosey has come in the clutch by keeping the girlfriend warm. So definitely go check out the link in my description. Get 30% off your order by using code KCSR. And once again, thank you to Mosey for sponsoring this video. Shout out to all the sponsors that support this channel all off season long. But getting back into the report that the Chiefs are monitoring trading for DK Metcalf. I don't think that DK Metcalf is, necessary for this offense to find another gear to be better next season because you're going to get Rashee Rice back. Xavier Worthy looked fantastic as his role progressed last season. You could go into the draft and get a Luther Burden or some other wide receiver that might end up falling. So I don't think that DK Metcalf is, someone that I would circle and say the Chiefs need to go get this player because that price tag is expensive. The Chiefs shouldn't just pay wide receivers, giant money, especially ones that didn't even go for 1,000 yards last season. Now, I understand that the quarterback play hasn't been great in Seattle. They've been going through a bunch of stuff, new coaching staff. But I don't want to see the Chiefs, go full in on DK Metcalf when I don't think that makes this team better. I think there's so many other solutions. But what would DK Metcalf provide in this offense? So often we've heard that the Chiefs need a big body wide receiver. We have heard the Chiefs need a big body wide receiver for the last 5, 6, 7 years, really the entire time that Patrick Mahomes has been the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. There's always been a knock on the receiving core that they don't have someone that's a true, X wide receiver, someone that is just able to go up for jump balls and come down with those and, stretch the field. And I think that's unfair because the Chiefs have had, a couple wide receivers like Tyreek Hill and, Sammy Watkins back in 2018 where they were pretty good. Like they were really good in this offense. And the Chiefs offense doesn't really work with players like, DK Metcalf because I feel like DK Metcalf would require, him getting a lot more of the targets, him getting a lot more of the catches. And that's just not how this Chiefs offense works. And again, like the Chiefs aren't opposed to having an X wide receiver, but they're not going to go out and pay for one. They're not going to go out and, spend the draft capital necessary to trade for a DK Metcalf. And they're surely not going to pay the giant price tag and the possible extension that would come for trading for a DK Metcalf. So I do think it's interesting, but again, this rumor I don't think has any merit. I'll go ahead and show it one more time. This report is coming from Corbin K. Smith. You can find him on Twitter at Corbin Smith NFL, and he has reported for the Seahawks in the past for Sports Illustrated, but I just think that this is one of those rumors that comes out every NFL offseason that doesn't end up having much truth to it. And it's just something to get people to click on something, to get people to click on, articles or videos. And so I don't think that DK Metcalf is going to be traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you guys think of the idea of trading for wide receiver DK Metcalf. What do you think that he could do in this Chiefs offense? And comment down below if you would be for or against that trade. That's really all I have for this video, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe for more daily Chiefs coverage. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. And as always, go Chiefs.